one, quickie. This is about a triplet. And basically what a triplet does is it takes a quarter note and divides it not into two like the do-day, but into three parts like the do-da-dee. Now in the 6/8 time we saw something that looked a lot like that, because in 6/8 time we're grouping our eighth notes in three to accommodate the emphasis of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But this is more common, a triplet is more common in 4/4 time, where you're going do, 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 day, do, 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 da, dee, do. Hear the difference? Do, da, dee, do, da, dee, do, rather than do, day, do. Do, that's dividing it into two parts. This divides the quarter note into three parts, and you get that do, da, dee, do, da, dee, do, da, dee, do, da, dee. And there's all sorts of different ways to teach that and what to call it, but I like this do-da-dee stuff because it gets your mind free of the numbers, free of the relation, it just gets it in your body. That's why I use that, and we will do more of those again with the flashcards. Okay? I also have a supplement that includes a lot of this, and I will put that up for you to download. Hi again. This is a short video on dotted notes, because sometimes we add a dot after the note, not before it, and not under it. Here's an example. Here's your note. A dot comes after the note, and it actually increases the duration. It makes it last longer. If the dot was underneath, it would mean something totally different. It would mean that it was choppy, staccato, tap, 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 tap. Doesn't change the value, just changes the way you play it. But when it's behind the note, it actually, to the right of it, it actually makes the note longer. And here's the rule. A dot equals, in other words, the dot itself has some value. The value of the dot equals 1/2 the value of the note that it follows. So you have to know what key signature you're in. Are you in 4/4, 2/4, or are you 6/8? Things get different when you change that bottom note number. But we're doing 4/4, nice and common. Many songs are in 4/4. So in 4/4, a quarter note equals 1 count. And so the dot would be half of that, making this whole thing together worth 1.5 counts in 4/4 time. So here's some examples, or here's all of the ones that you usually have. Very rarely do you have a whole note with a dot after it, but if you did, okay, there's the whole note, it's equal to 4, plus the dot, which is equal to half of 4, so 4 plus 2, I can't make that very good, 4 plus 2 equals 6. On the half note, in 4/4 time, it's worth 2 counts, so the dot is worth half of 2. How much is half of 2? Just 1. So 2 plus 1 is 3 counts. Looks like this. A quarter note, that's worth 1 count. This is the example we just worked through. The quarter note's worth 1, so the dot is worth 1/2. You add 1.5 together, and you get 1.5. This is all basic fractions, isn't it? From 4th grade, probably. Looks like that. The 8th note is worth 1/2 a count, so the dot is going to be worth half of a half. Now you got to think about that pie. You got a half a pie, you cut it in half. How much do you have? You have a quarter of the pie. So it's worth 3/4. It can look like this. I'm going to erase that. It can look like this with the dot on the 8th note and the 16th note by itself out there, and their flags hanging down. But most of the time, when you have a dotted quarter note, or an 8th note, dotted 8th note, you have the flag at the top, meaning that this is an 8th note. This were 3/4 counts because of the dot, and this is the last 16th note hanging off the end there. All right? That was quick. That was easy. It can get complicated, but it will, I did a supplement on this as well. So with a little bit of thinking about it, looking at the music, hearing it, and when we get to the flashcards that I have, it will be a little more understandable. All right? Good job. Sweet, because we're going to talk about syncopation. Now, most of the time, that isn't true anymore, but when you're just doing a standard 4 counts in 4/4 time, sounds like do, 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 do. Very simple. But we like things jazzy these days, and so there's a lot of syncopation happening in our music. And the way that looks, if you read your notes, you'll find that many times it starts, instead of with a quarter note, with an 8th note. And what that does is it shifts the emphasis from on the beat, like that, 1, 2, 3, 4, to off of the beat, like and, ba, 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 ba. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and you've got another half count left over, so you get another 8th note at the end. Now, you'll see syncopation in small pieces or in larger pieces, but you know, it might be 2 measures of it, it might be just 2 notes, it might be ba, 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 and this could be the 8th note. And then there'd be room for a quarter note at the end. Now, do you see why it adds up? We know that we got to have 4 counts in the measure. And so we've got, here's 3 of them, 1, 2, 3, we know of, that are regular quarter notes. And since it's 4/4 time, the quarter note gets 1 count. So here's 1, here's 1, here's 1. This one plus this one, 8th note plus 8th note, come together to make a quarter note. So you've still got 4 beats in the measure, but they just don't look the same and they don't sound the same. Try it with me. Get a lap slap going here. All right, we're going to ba, 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 ba. You're going off the beat. Off the beat is syncopation. Isn't that fun? Yeah. Now, I've said before that you've got to get the beat in your body. You know, you got to know where 1, 2, 3. You got to have it in your body. And this is why. Because they're going to mess with the beat. You're going to mess with the beat. And if you don't have it solid, this is really hard to do. You've got to be able to have this kinesthetically in your body. And then syncopation is a piece of cake and lots of fun. Okay? That's all for today.